Hey everyone, Brian here from Native Instruments. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to set up the Komplete Kontrol M32 for advanced integration with Ableton Live and what you're able to control from the keyboard. I'll also show you the Komplete Kontrol software so you can unlock the full potential of the M32. Using a USB cable, connect one end into the back of the keyboard and the other end into your computer. You can connect this to a USB hub if you'd like, but it's recommended that it's a powered USB hub, one that requires a power supply, otherwise the keyboard may not connect properly to your computer. Now that the M32 is connected to your computer, you can open up Ableton Live. Now we need to set up Ableton's preferences so it can recognize the keyboard. Go to Live at the top and select Preferences. Select the MIDI tab. Click an empty control surface slot and select Komplete Kontrol A. Click the Input dropdown and select Komplete Kontrol M-DAW. Select Komplete Kontrol M-DAW under Output as well. If you haven't already, you'll need to enable Ableton to send and receive MIDI to the keyboard. Find the input for Komplete Kontrol M32 and turn on Track. This will allow Ableton to receive the MIDI when you play the keyboard. If you want to custom map any parameters in Ableton to the keyboard, you'll also need to turn on Remote. With the advanced integration set up, you can use the M32 to control various aspects of Ableton directly from the hardware. We'll first load up an instrument so we can hear some music, and I'll use hybrid keys from Komplete now. Select Plugins in Ableton's browser on the left. If this is your first time opening Ableton Live, this area might be empty, so you'll need to enable the Plugins folder in Ableton's Preferences. Click Live at the top of the screen and select Preferences. Select the Plugins tab, and then click where it says Off next to VST2 and VST3 Plugin Systems folder. Ableton will now scan your plugins folder. The scan may take a moment, but once the scan is complete, all of your installed plugins will appear in the browser. Don't worry if you don't see everything you installed from Komplete Now and the M32 in this list. Some of the instruments like hybrid keys or Playbox are Kontakt instruments. Kontakt is a sampler and is used to run many NI instruments. If you haven't yet, make sure you install the Kontakt player from Native Access, as you won't be able to load some of the instruments without it. One thing to note is that if you're using the Mac that has the M1 chip, you may need to open Ableton Live in Rosetta mode for certain plugins to appear. Right-click on Ableton Live 11 Lite, select Get Info, and check the box Open with Rosetta. Since Hybrid Keys is a Kontakt instrument, I'll find Kontakt in the plugin browser and drag it onto the first MIDI track. I'll find Hybrid Keys in Kontakt's browser on the left, click on Instruments, and double-click on Hybrid Keys 2.0.nki to load the instrument. There are two different views for you to work with in Ableton: Session View, which we're currently on, or Arrangement View, which can be viewed by clicking this icon. We'll first start with the Session View. You have dedicated buttons for the most important and frequently used functions in Ableton. You can first turn on and off the metronome by using the dedicated metronome button. Next, you can use the Tap Tempo button to change the BPM of your project. Just tap this button 4 times to the beat that you want, and that's it. To record something, press the Record button, and when you're done, press the Record button again. This will stop the recording and automatically loop what you just played. You can then press Stop to stop the playback. Let's record something in. As you can hear, I didn't play the chords right on beat. I can either undo what I just played and try again by pressing the Undo button. Holding Shift and pressing the Undo button will redo an action. The chords sound almost on beat, so I'll just press the Quantize button to lock my MIDI notes to the grid. Let's take a listen. Let's record another chord variation. Using the encoder on the right, I can click down and it will go to the next slot. I can either hit the record button again or just push in on the encoder to begin recording. Let's bring this idea to the arranger view and work in this view now. I'll drag that loop I recorded to this icon and drop it onto my contact track. I'll also click this button so Ableton is playing from the arranger view, not the session view. I'll press the loop button on the keyboard and drag my loop range and listen back. Let's add in a bass line and use Monarch for that. Monarch is a reactor-based instrument, so I'll drag reactor 6 to my next MIDI channel. I just want to play an instrument rather than build one, so I'll select play. I'll find Monarch in Reactor's browser on the left and double-click monarch.ens. On the right side of the keyboard, you have a 4-directional encoder which lets me rotate, click up, down, left, or right, or push in to select. I can quickly switch between my different channels using the encoder. I currently have my Monarch track selected, and you can hear this preset when I play the keys. Clicking up on the encoder now switches it to my first channel, and now I can play hybrid keys. Let's go back to Monarch and record in a bass line. Now that I have 2 parts recorded, I want to adjust the volume of them. First, press the track button. The knobs are touch capacitive, so when I touch knob 1, I'm able to control the volume of the first channel in Ableton. Using knob 2, I can adjust channel 2. If you have more than 8 channels, you can use the left and the right arrows to access the other channels. Holding Shift and turning one of the knobs lets you pan the channel towards the left or towards the right. I also have mute and solo buttons that let me mute or solo different channels. Tap the knob of the channel you want to select, and then hold Shift and press the left arrow for mute or the right arrow for solo. These are just some of the key advanced integration features of the M32. For a complete list of M32 Ableton integration features, click the link in the description to view the integration cheat sheet. In addition to being able to control Ableton, if you are using the Komplete Kontrol plugin to load your instruments, there's a lot more functionality from the keyboard, so let's take a look. In order to access the other features of the keyboard, you'll need to load up the plugin Komplete Kontrol. Komplete Kontrol allows you to easily browse, tweak, preview all of your sounds, and much more. If you are just loading Contact or Reactor, you still have the advanced DAW integration, but you won't be able to smartly browse or tweak your instruments from the hardware. Whenever I want to use a new instrument, I always load up Komplete Kontrol first. Click on the plugin's icon again and drag Komplete Kontrol to an empty area on the right. If you don't see Komplete Kontrol in your plugins list, make sure that you installed it using native access. Once Komplete Kontrol loads, you'll see the display on the keyboard has changed, asking me to press the browser button. Press the browser button, and now you can search through all of the Komplete Kontrol supported plugins. Using the encoder, you can first choose to browse instruments, loops, or one-shots. Let's choose instruments and push in the encoder to select. The products page lets you browse through all of your instruments. Let's scroll down and select Massive X. If you accidentally select the wrong instrument, click the encoder to the left to go back to the previous page. On the Types page, you can filter through types of sounds like bass, sound effects, or synth leads. Let's select Synth Lead. And now let's select Classic Poly subtype. You can then filter by sound characteristics like airy or analog, but I'll select all. The results list will now only show you presets that match the filter types we selected. As you scroll through the presets, you'll hear audio previews for every preset so you know what it sounds like without actually having to load the instrument. Once you find a sound that you like, push in the encoder to select, and now you can start playing the instrument. If you want to play notes that are higher or lower, use the octave up or down buttons on the left. Every instrument that's supported in Komplete Kontrol has all of the instrument parameters mapped to the 8 knobs, giving you direct control of the instrument from the keyboard. Once you touch a knob, the parameter you are controlling will appear on the display. Many instruments have more than 8 parameters, so you can use the left and right arrows to switch between the different banks. Below the Quantize button, you'll see that it says Auto. This lets you enable automation recording so you can tweak the knobs and have those changes be recorded into Ableton. Just hold down Shift and press the Quantize button to activate. If you want to change a preset, you can press the preset up or down buttons, or press the browser button again and use the encoder to select another preset, filter type, or another instrument. If you want to go back to controlling your instrument, just press the plugin button. You can also load effects from the hardware and create an effects chain. While the plugin button is selected, click the encoder to the right and the display will say, Press Browser, empty slot. Press the browser button again. You can see on the display it now says Effects Products. Rotating the encoder lets you scroll through all of your available effects that are supported in Komplete Kontrol. Let's scroll down and select ROM. Just like instruments, I can filter for a type of effect that I'm looking for. Let's select Reverb, and then Creative. Once it's loaded, you can use the 8 knobs to customize the effect and use the left or right arrows to navigate through the banks of parameters. When running your instruments through Komplete Kontrol, you'll also have access to the Smart Play features such as Scales Mode or Chords Mode. Scale Mode allows you to choose different scales so you can never play a wrong note on the keyboard, and it's also a great learning tool. Pressing the Scale button enables Scale Mode, and holding Shift and pressing the Scale button allows you to edit the scale. Knob 2 lets you choose between a wide range of scale banks, and Knob 3 lets you choose different types of scales like major or minor scales. No matter what notes you play on the keyboard, you will always be playing in key. You can also select key modes, which adjust how you can play the scale. By default, Mapped mode will automatically adjust the pitch so any key you press will be in the scale you have selected. Easy mode makes it so you only need to use the white keys, making it easy to play in key. Chords mode lets you choose different chords and play them with a single key. Using Knob 5 lets you turn on Harmonizer mode. Knob 6 lets you choose what chords you want to play, like major, minor, or sevenths. You can also select chord sets, which are pre-made chord progressions. You can jump around the keys and come up with a cool chord progression. You can combine scale mode and chord mode together so that the chords that you play are still in key. Another smart play feature is ARP mode, or arpeggiator. Just like the scale mode, pressing the ARP button enables ARP mode, and holding Shift plus ARP lets you edit the arpeggiator settings. Using the knobs, you can adjust the arpeggiator settings such as how the notes are played back and the rate of the arpeggiator. You can have chord mode and ARP mode activated at the same time, so you can arpeggiate your chords while pressing only one key. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of what the Komplete Kontrol M32 is capable of. For more clarification on anything about the M32, all additional information can be found in the manual, which is linked in the description. Thanks for watching and have fun with the M32 and Komplete now.